And the solution is more government.
And more government, and because there are a lot of
most people don't see that. Even like the energy crisis, the whole thing, they're causing the crisis.
Yes.
They are provoking this,
yes.
And then people say, okay, government, you need to do something. What do they?
Earth is flat.
Yeah, but it's circle, not flat.
A circle is not a ball.
Yeah, but there is photo from NASA.
NASA and
But
give us
that's
pictures.
flat.
NASA give us pictures. Elon Musk is a hoax. Elon Musk built a space program to rival NASA with 1 week's budget. With 1 week's budget. Earth is flat because water is level. Earth is flat and not moving because we cannot sense any movement. Research flat Earth. Wake yourself up. Free your mind from the enslavement that has been imposed upon generations of God's creation. You are the center of creation, and no man or government should come between you and God. NASA is a hoax designed to rob you of your divinity, of your sovereignty, of your place in this universe. You are the center of the universe. The earth is flat. La terra plana. La terra plata. Earth is flat, not a globe, no globo. Water level. Water level, aqua level. Aqua is level.
Yeah, because where was
Yeah, the youngsters, I was having a bit of fun with him. Boy, you got something to eat, good. Well done. Hi, Earth is flat, not a globe. Hey man, any questions?
I'm just wondering what this is about.
These are really just trying to inform people about a bunch of things that are at odds in our world, to do with mass events, mass killing events, to do with the structuring of this society and establishment. I don't know if you looked into chemtrails at all.
I'm not been in chemtrails.
Okay.
The wealth agenda.
Yeah, there's Mockingbird was an operation to insert CIA into the media in America, and the guy called Casey, he was the director I think at the time. He said, once our project is complete, everything, 100% of what Americans will believe will be false. And we think that we're living in a world that is trying to falsify what's going on here and who we are. Because I say to people, I think we are, whatever God is, we are that at the microscopic or the nano, the shrunk down form, the tiny doll in the nested dolls, the 7 nested dolls. We're the small one, and God is the big one, but meant to be experiencing itself, through the aegis of your experience here. But that experience is being homogenized. It is being sterilized, it is being neutralized, and even muted, I think, so that we are not natural beings anymore. We're a long way from our true natural intent and perhaps the design of whatever the God is that we come from, whatever the thing is that we emanate from. I think that where a lie is being told, there's a reason for that, and until you unpick the reason or realize that, that lie is going to have thrall. It's going to hold you in some thrall until you've attended to it, and as I say to people, if I start misdirecting you from a very early age, then your ship is, of course, so early on that years down the track you're a long way from your true heading. So it does require a realignment and saying, whoa, how do now I know that, because for me it was only 7-8 years ago that I found out that it wasn't Osama bin Laden that did all of that. And so it requires a whole realignment of the reality out there, and then an assessment of who you are and what you are. Because I think that God's light, the light of Christ, as they say in religion, is actually in you, and that light has been dulled, dimmed, and reduced on purpose so that you don't find that truth about what I think Jesus was saying, is that you will go on and do greater things than I, because you are the Son of God, you are that. So for me, these religious icons are just examples of how how it could be, how we should lead our lives, how we should be in society, to love one another and all that kind of thing. It's hard to do that when your mind has been poisoned with propaganda such as
like
in
that
South
through
African
history. I
apartheid.
mean, there's
Pardon?
propaganda everywhere. Like
Everywhere.
I mean, even on the religious side. I mean, but it's just
Everywhere, and once you choose a side, you know you're almost you're in a bind. Then, if you choose Manchester United or another cricket team, rugby team, you're in a bind because your mates are, oh, they were going that way, and you're arguing that it was a good tackle, and they're saying no, it was a foul, and so on. And this is what happens within all of the good religions, the great religions. There's this dichotomy, and I think if it's, I understand that people have differences, but if we had this fundamental understanding of our oneness, of our true God essence that we carry, then we would, most of us, hold ourselves in higher esteem, and we would love ourselves better, and then we would probably love our neighbours better, because that person, that grumpy neighbour, she often hates herself so much that she just spews that hate onto everyone around her, and if she loves herself a lot, she's just got a lot of warmth to give to all her neighbourhood, And I think this is, part of the problem is that we've been so minimised, and what the globe science does, what the evolution and Big Bang does, is it kind of gives us that Goldilocks idea of you're just a stardust, explosions happen, lucky chance, slime became monkeys, and evolution, and blah blah blah, and here you are, rather than, no, this is you intending to come in this avatar, you saying I'm going to set myself this challenge to come here, rather than, no, you evolved in monkeys and blah blah blah. This puts you right at the center. Like I say to people, it's like you're the spindle of the clock. You're not out on the handle, because in the globe model you're stuck on the outside of the clock. Whereas in my model, you're the center, you're the spindle, and everything goes around you. The 12-hour hands are the 12 zodiacal signs, if you like, the 12 disciples, which are the 12 disciplines of your own life journey, your spokes of your own wheel, that if you get them well balanced, you should have a smooth ride through this life, and perhaps it helps into the next, but I can't talk on anything after this life. But I just feel like it's the right thing to do, to say, hey, we've been lied to, and you need to pay attention. Not everyone will, most people will shun it, but to go out in the hope that it reaches some fertile ground. I've got a thing on electromagnetics, because my preferred, this was 8 years ago, not 8 years ago, but I looked at this for a couple of years. Flat Earth, it was important to me, but now it's just a gateway into the essence of what we are. I came from atheistic kind of position just 7 years ago to one of ayahuasca helped me on that journey. By the way, it wasn't just on my own.
Right, okay.
So I did have
One of South America?
No, in Johannesburg actually at the time. But it was my first coming across it, and it showed me something else. So I think it's all electromagnetic. We're like a little electromagnetic apple inside a giant apple, inside the big apple. Let me give you a flyer. That's you at the middle of the electromagnetic torus. And just from a science point of view, I think that if you look into a little bit of quantum, and also into the primer field experiments done by David Lapointe, you will see what I'm talking about in the electromagnetic spectrum. There's also, under a ferrous cell, if you take a powerful neodymium magnet under a ferrous cell, you see these flow lines that create the electromagnetic torus. That if it's like the, if you imagine the center of the orange is like that little white pithy bit, right? And around that is this spiral, is this kind of energetic vortex that is doing this reciprocating hyperboloid, where it kind of goes round and up into itself. And there, the pinch point of the hourglass, that pinch point of the hourglass is the black hole in which light finally can turn into matter, become dense enough to form seeds, or in this case you, and in the macroverse, the entire universe. So that's something on electromagnetics, which obviously takes Newton out of the picture. But I align more with Tesla than with him. And Einstein.
Confusing to me, though.
Well, it's a long. Sorry, I've given you a lot of information in a very short space of time, but I am trying to just give you some tidbits to think. Shit, it's maybe not, because on the ayahuasca, right? Everything was light. I saw everything, the plants, the walls, the man who was doing it. He was just a light being. Blew my mind. And I, my first words when I came back was, it's true, there is a God. That was my first words, and I went in an atheist. So at 47. So let me tell you, there is something else here. You don't have to accept anything I'm telling you, but I'm giving you a clue that there's.
So do you ascribe to a specific religion now?
No, religion is controlled.
Okay, so you're just very spiritual.
No, I'm not even like there's super spiritual people that would be like, I'm much more spiritual than this dude, I'm not super spiritual, I think that like we have a tendency sometimes to think that we have to be super like clean, that's the only acceptable way for God. No, your body is a wonderful machine, you can do things to it for quite a lot of years, and it'll bounce back from that, and the same is true with our bigger nature. It will bounce back from that. So no, I'm spiritual, and I try and go for quiet time and Zen time, so I do look for my own inner peace. I'm not trying to see the news all the time. I'm not trying to find out what's going on out there and so on. I have quiet, I do those sorts of things, and I live fairly well, but I'm not like a monk or anything like that, and I enjoy a bit of this and a bit of that. I think life is meant for a bit of pleasure, but it's about having the balance. In an electrical system, we've got the blue in the sky, we've got the red in the magma and the hot, we've got the green, which is the earth, right? And that's the balance point. That's the thing that needs to separate the hot and the cold. And earth is nanogram for heart, and in the chakra system your lower chakras are dark and your higher chakras are light, and the green heart is in the middle, right? So I think we're meant to find balance. We have a left and right wing, so just like the Christian cross, we look like that when we stand, and in Islam they say Allah, which is arm, leg, arm, head, which is you. So at the center of the Christian cross is your heart, and I think that we're meant to be not so left wing, not so right wing, not so up in the head like a sheep, not so down in the head like in the trousers like a goat, because this is a goat and sheep that Jesus is saying, be the good shepherd. You're meant to manage your own goat and sheep. You're meant to manage your own lust, your own greed, your own avarice, your own 7 deadly sins. You're meant to manage those, not the government.
No, I do agree with that.
Yeah. So what I say is this is a journey about self-mastery. But the more and more you live on a globe and you come from monkeys, the more and more you need government to determine that you are, that you're acting in a decent way, and so on. And men.
Oh no, that's what I hate. It's just like these growing governments over the last, especially over the last 2 years. Let's be honest. Governments have grown big, and they're just telling you what to do, and that cannot stand. Like, I can see the world, the direction in which the world is going. And honestly, it's depressing me, badly. This guy possibly.
Yeah. And they've got these agendas. Klaus Schwab and Soros. He funds these militia groups that'll go and cause war in your country if you don't go along with what they want. There's so many things that are wrong with the world, and it's been planned for a long time.
Exactly. It's been around for
hundreds of years, maybe. Hundreds of years.
Now it's really coming to light.
Now it's coming to a head almost. Yeah, it's coming to light, becoming obvious, and that's what an apocalypse
But don't you think it's coming to light, it's going a little bit too fast, and people are starting to coming to the realization that these things are happening around them, and they feel like, I don't know, we see like massive civil unrest. I mean, look at what's happening in the Netherlands. Look at what happened to Canada. It's just crazy, And who says it's not going to be happening here?
Well, the crazy thing is that the more we protest, the more the government will get money for police.
Yes.
So actually they get what they want because they create the problem, you react to it, and then they say, here's
the solution is more government.
And more government. And because there are a lot of
most people don't see that. Even like the energy crisis, the whole thing, they're causing the crisis.
Yes.
They are provoking this.
Yes.
And then people say, okay, government, you need to do something. What do
Earth
they
is
do?
flat. Earth is not a globe. Sorry, don't go away. I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. And they're creating. By the way, on a flat Earth, we don't run out of oil.
Well,
on flat Earth, there is no oil. Is like blood.
Well,
your blood. If I had to drain a pint of blood every week, your body would not run.
That I cannot like.
No, well, how water. Aquifers fill water. Like you've got a water well. That aquifer keeps filling the water well all the time. Sometimes you can let it go dry and it'll fill up in about 6 months' time from the rains far away. Well, we find the same is true with the oil industry. They can leave an empty pit and come back in 10 years' time and it's most full again. This is what we're finding. Oil is not, you see, part of the dinosaur lie is that all of that oil is coming from rotted bodies. That's bullshit. Do you know how little oil you get from one body and how many you'd have to collected in one little pile to create billions of liters of this crude oil, and how much shit would be in it? It comes out perfectly pure, just like your blood does. We think that the oil is part of the Earth's living system, and I'm not saying we should waste it, but I also know that I'm 54. In the 1970s, we were frightened into this fuel crisis. We've run out of oil. The world's run out of oil. We had to start OPEC.
That's what they said, but there was plenty. There is still plenty. However, to me, it doesn't really prove that the Earth is flat.
No. I'm just saying one of the advantages, or one of the things, the realities of a flat Earth is that things are less fearful. We don't have asteroids to wipe us out, and we have unlimited water. We don't pollute this earth. It can clean itself, just like your body can clean itself after a night on the booze. You don't have to clean it. Your body does it for you. Same is true with oil spills and so on. Earth is self-cleaning. That's why you can go anywhere in the world, like I have, on a spring morning, a fresh morning. The sky is perfectly crisp and clear, no matter where you are, unless you're right next to a factory. And if this, when I was 20, 30 years old, they said, no, the earth is going to be so polluted we won't be able to breathe in 20 years' time. And here, the air is still perfectly clean in the morning. Earth is flat, my friends, not a globe. We've been lied to. We have been lied to. The NASA, they've never put a man in a vacuum chamber in a spacesuit. Never. Never. Why wouldn't you go, if you go into space, why wouldn't you test that suit in a vacuum chamber? And the vacuum chamber that NASA have got is nowhere near as powerful as the vacuum they tell us is out there. And thermodynamics says you cannot have a vacuum and a pressure system side by side with just a theoretical idea as a barrier. Can you imagine if I said, I'm going to collect me 50 kilos of helium gas here and just use this idea to store it? No. It needs to be a thick steel drum. And if you break it, it'll pop. Pressure will equalize in the environment always. The football, if forced underwater, will force its way up as hard as it can to get above the water. Why? Because it's out of its natural position of buoyancy or density. Absolutely. And it'll only go above your head if you throw it up there. And then it'll come back down. So the earth is flat. Water's level. That's our killer. Water's level, and we've never had a science experiment to show we are moving. Aries failure, he was the astronomer royal in 1865. He found that the earth is not, the stars are moving and not the earth. And they call the experiment Aries failure because it failed to prove the spin of the earth. Interferometer experiments done by the best scientists in the French and English world in the 1800s, they couldn't find any spin of the earth. They found a telltale drift of about 3 to 4 miles an hour, which Tesla put down to being the ether movement. It's almost like being in the sea. We're in a very thin sea. Fish don't know they're in the sea, and we don't know that we're actually in a sea. And that sea drifts just like the currents and tides of our ocean. It moves around. And that we call the ether. And I believe we live in that ether. We're having the electrical experience with the ether. It's keeping us alive. We all know that the one thing we cannot go without for very long is ether or breath. Ether and breath are very much the same, pretty much the same word. Ether B is breath, or breathe, I should say, is ether B. So I think that we need this ether, obviously. We can go without water for a few days, but not for more than a few minutes without this life-giving force. And there's an electrical force. There's electricity in the water, intelligence in the water. I think God is in the water. And this upgrade that people have been getting sick from the last 2 years is an electromagnetic change to the world we live in. And those people that are dissonant or out of phase will get sick more readily than those that are in good condition, mind, body, and soul. Much more than just an avatar here. You're much more than that. You carry the light of God, in my view. You carry the light of the Creator. And the Creator's intention rides on you. Not a good thing or a bad thing, it just is. You don't have to be good, you don't have to be bad. The choice is always up to you. And at the end of the day, you put your head on the pillow. It's you talking to yourself, you talking to God. God created you in His image, its image. Look in the mirror, you're looking in the image of God. Say what Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to God but through me. You're actually saying those words to yourself, that you are the way, the truth, and the light. And no one comes to God but through yourself. So why would they lie? Because you are so important.
Appreciate what you do.
Cheers. Can I give you a flyer before you go?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I've been looking at this stuff since I was like 15, 16, so to see so much you speak about it outside, it's very interesting. Yeah,
Awesome.
wicked.
Thanks, brother.
Pleasure.
I've got a website and some
I'll
and
look it up,
YouTube. You can check it out. Eventually, this will make its way to my channel. Oh, okay. Oh no, you take one. Give it to a friend. Yeah. No, I want you to share them. Yeah, I've got 5,000. So
you enjoy your day, geezer. Yeah.
All the gays, brother. All the best. Cheers. Yeah, so there you go, my friends. We can't prove we live on a globe. We cannot prove it. I wish we could, but we can't. We believe we live on a globe. We believe that gravity will give us this ability to walk underneath a stone or a wall, but we can't. Water is always level. No matter what I do to this bottle, this water is always going to settle at the same level. The water will always hold that same level no matter what I do. I can make this bottle 1 meter long, same experiment. I can make it 100 meters long, 1 mile long, 100 miles long, same result. You got no reason to say all of a sudden at 110 miles it's going to start doing something different. Why? Because at 90, 80, 70, 60 it did exactly the same thing. The longest lakes in the world that we can measure are flat bodies of water. So at what point is the water meant to be curving?